Hi, I'm Anthony DiBlasi. I'm co-writer and director of Last Shift, and I'm on Back to the Movies with Sean Evans.
We are standing on the edge tonight. Make the week so we can fly. Standing over the edge, falling over the edge. Yeah, yeah. We are hanging on the edge tonight. Need 1,000 wings to fly. Standing over the edge.
Hi, I'm Anthony DiBlasi. I'm co-writer and director of Last Shift, and I'm on Back to the Movies with Sean Evans.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And Natalie's got one of them in her repertoire as well, so we've got you both now. You are hooked, lined, and sinkered for life.
If I knew I was going to be speaking on camera, I would have looked better.
Dude, you look fine. Right, okay, so on the show tonight we have Anthony DiBlasi, director and co-writer of horror film The Last Shift. How are you today, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So I saw The Last Shift, and what an intense movie. I mean, for those who haven't seen it yet, can you just give us an overview of what the movie is all about?
Well, essentially, it's rookie police officer's first night on the job, which turns out to be her last shift, and also it's the last shift of the building, which is it's a transitioning police station. And along the way, she's encountered by some spirits that are hanging out in the police station, and it turns out to be quite a revealing night for her.
Okay, so I mean, from when I was watching the movie, it was kind of clear to see that the whole film obviously revolves around Giuliana Rancic, Jessica Lawrence.
Yeah.
She's the sole night shift officer. I mean, what was it about Giuliana that stood out to you compared to others who auditioned for the role?
We actually offered the part to Giuliana. I had met her. She had auditioned for Missionary, and she was young for that part, but I felt she was just such a great actress and had such a unique look. And when we were in the writing process last shift, my first AD, Mike Finn, reminded me. He's like, "Hey, what about Giuliana for this part?" And I was like, "Yeah, Giuliana would." We called her and offered her the part. We actually didn't do. We had some going on in the background, but we didn't see anybody for the.
I imagine it was a very demanding role for Giuliana, because obviously she's on her own, and the film kind of solely focuses around her. Was it quite stressful on set? Was she kind of freaking out? Was there a lot of responsibility there?
It was a pretty laid back. Was for her, it was really intense. I don't think she quite, you get a script and you're like, oh, I'm in every scene. That's exciting. But then the reality of it kind of happens for an actor, because there's not a lot of movies where that happens, where you're really, she's in 98% of the movie. And it is demanding, to get to those emotional places all the time and to never have a break. An actor usually can go off to their room for a couple hours or something like that, but she was constant. It was tolling, definitely towards the end, because we were on a pretty intense schedule. We shot that whole movie in 10 days.
Wow.
It was not easy, and all night shoots.
Wow, well, I can imagine that actual role took a toll on her kind of psyche as well, and her mentality. I'm sure that boded well for her character as she's tripping out, seeing all these hallucinations and crazy things going on within the police station.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it helped get her to those places faster, always being in this constant state of, suspicion and terror. And so I think she was able to tap into her emotions a lot quicker.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the actual, like you said, the whole movie revolves around this eerie, abandoned police station. I mean, and the movie does start off slowly, quietly, kind of builds up moments of tension, and it feels as though the audience are kind of in the same shoes as Jessica's character. I mean, as we're watching them on screen, was this part of the idea to kind of create a relatable experience for the audience, to actually make them feel isolated, that Jessica is feeling exactly the same as the audience in the movie?
Definitely, it was when Scott and I were talking about doing this project. Um, I like pitched him this idea about a dispatch officer in a station because I wanted to do something that was really sound driven and secluded. And we actually went out and started scouting before we wrote and found this police station. So we made some adjustments to the character and to the story. And, I got to map out all these hallways in this entire place before the two of us sat down and wrote. Um, and I think a big part of that was being able to know where I was putting the actors. And for me, in talking to Austin, the DP, I always wanted to be like right over her shoulder or really in her face, really part of her bubble, always in the bubble with her. And, a lot of people do, and this wasn't intentional at the time, but a lot of people have said in their reviews that it's like a video game or like a Silent Hill or something, which totally makes sense. It wasn't my intention at the time to make it feel like a video game, but I guess the definitely the angles we chose, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of does definitely give off that vibe. I mean, with these kind of movies where a lone character is within a specific environment, whether it be a haunted house, a hospital, a police station, whatever the environment may be, that environment always seems to take on a character of its own. And within this, obviously you've got the backstory, which I'm not going to go into for people who haven't seen it, but it kind of embodies the police station as its own kind of universe, its own kind of parallel dimension where these spirits can roam free. I mean, when you were like location scouting, what kind of things were you looking for within this police station? Was it just a generic police station, or was there something in particular that you really wanted to pop out?
Well, I think whenever I'm making a horror movie, the first thing I look for is long hallways. And it was amazing. Like I walked into this police station, which was was empty. It was a transition police station, and it still had a lot of the signage on the walls, and the first thing I noticed, it had like 3 like mega hallways. I had never seen that one hallway. That main hallway was so long, and on camera it looks twice as long, and I was like, this is perfect. I can't nobody ever has halls this long, so it was like, that's going to work out for every scene I have to shoot, which is always important, and for a DP, for me, when I'm looking for a location, I don't tend to worry about wall color very much. I mean, I knew when we got in there, the entire place was stark white, and I knew that would make any DP crazy. And I think at the time we knew we were using Austin, who also shot Missionary. But I was like, I just want to embrace that stark whiteness, and also embrace the fluorescent lights. In general, it's a pretty bright movie. There's a lot of like scary things that happen in quite pretty bright light, and then yes, there are moments of total darkness too. But that was definitely something we talked about embracing. Just embrace the whiteness of the building and the fluorescence and stuff like that.
Is that kind of like an eerie metaphor for like the blank slate of Jessica's character as she's getting over the grief of her father's passing and all these kind of things?
It is now. That's genius.
I'll add that into the review now. I've thought of it, so I'm throwing that in there.
I mean, when I talked to Nicole, the production designer, it was, we definitely wanted to keep, because I think instincts for most people are like, well, what should we put on the walls? And I was like, no, let's just keep this place completely stark. And that's definitely what the two of us decided in dressing and stuff, is don't put up bulletin boards, don't put up any of this stuff, just leave it. I think it really helps focus on the actress and the character.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. And I mean, watching the movie Small Parts from two people that I know rather well, Jay LaRose from Saw 3 and Natalie Victoria, your lovely fiancée. How did they come on board, and how was it life on set working with your fiancée, and did Natalie's lovely laugh echo through those police station hallways?
It did quite a bit. It was a good experience, definitely one of the best filmic experience for me, and working with Scott on that, who's always my producer on a lot of the movies I do, because we had a concept we wanted to execute in a pretty short amount of time, and we were writing very specifically for these actors we had worked with. So, I wrote that part for Natalie specifically, and like Scott and I, wanted to, because he had just done Missionary with us, and he was in Casadega, and we wanted to get a nice role. I always look when I'm working with Jay and have the ability to cater a part for him. I like to look at like, what are the characters he's played? I told him, I called him, I was like, we're writing this part for you, and I want people to say the unrecognizable Jay LaRose. There better be a damn review that says the unrecognizable Jay LaRose. I just wanted to create this character he could really disappear into. So that was great to be able to kind of write these parts for them and have them on set. But working with Natalie was excellent, because it was like, we had never worked together before, and I think she was a little nervous about it, just because when you're dating and stuff, it's like, well, that might be weird, or like, and I'm directing her, but it was great. I mean, it was such an easy experience, and we both had such good time with it and with those scenes.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. They always say with making independent film, especially with independent horror film, it's like working with family, and in this case, in a small percentage, it could be your future family. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It really is. I mean, and I think everyone in our crew, especially, we had worked with so many times before, and it really was a great set in general.
Okay. I mean, for everybody out there, The Last Shift, twists and turns along the way, a wonderful little horror gem. Thank you for joining us on Back to the Movies, Anthony. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was great talking to you, man.